Justine, since you're involved at colleges, can you tell us what students should be looking for in a college?
Yeah. If you're interested in college, the first thing you should start doing, especially in your junior year, is to start researching online. Right now in the year 2011, you should have access to a computer somewhere. I know your school does as well. So you should definitely be using those resources. First, search online. Think about where you want to go to school. If you're thinking about staying in Pennsylvania, or if you're thinking about going to other states, let's say you have family. I know you said you have family in Florida. You're thinking about looking around there. That's great. So first, before you pack up your bags and go on a flight to Alaska, make sure you go on the website and see what each school has to offer first. So if you're thinking Miami and you want some sun, a little bit more than that, you should be looking at the academics, what the school has to offer. After you comprise a list of schools that you're interested in, you should make a smaller list of things that you are interested in doing while you're there. So if you're thinking about visiting these schools, it may get expensive after a while to visit all of those schools. So you want to make sure that all of the schools that you do visit have the things that you're interested in. So you want to come up with a list online, visit the schools, preferably over the summer after your junior year, or in the fall of your senior year as you're taking classes. That way you can do an interview as well. Not all schools require you to do an interview, however, some do. So if you're doing an interview at that school, it's good to do it in the fall of your senior year. That way you have something to talk about. You can talk about the classes that you're taking, as well as some of your interests and what you want to do while you're there. Then consider the interview also as you interviewing the university as well. If you leave an interview feeling like, maybe this is not for me, or sort of turned off to the university, that's a good indication that maybe you shouldn't apply there. So that's why it's always good to research first, do an interview, and then decide where you want to apply. That way, March, April of your senior year, you're not panicking in the last minute to decide where you want to go. You at least have a top choice school and are thinking about the other options that are there. Also, you want to make sure that the academics that they offer are all of your interests. So if you have an interest in math and theater, you want to make sure that that school offers both of those things, because you never know, you may change your major and go into one or the other, or you may double major. First of all, see if the school allows you to double major, and make sure that it has all of the things that you're looking for. Because the good thing about the United States is that you have so many choices, so many colleges to choose from. So make sure you're doing that, and then that way it'll be a lot less stressful if you start early, junior year, and then start looking and then apply later on.
Okay, all right. Could you tell us a little about financial aid and what students should expect from it?
Yes, a very important question, especially this time period. It's a little bit different for all of you versus several years ago. The economy is very rough right now, so financial aid, scholarships, they should be a top priority. First and foremost, you should be considering the actual school that you're applying to. Do they have what you're interested in? Then you should be thinking, okay, how can I make this work financially? Almost every college that I know of offers merit scholarships, as well as financial aid. One of the stereotypes is that a state school is much cheaper than a private school, or public school is much cheaper than a private school. However, when you factor in scholarships, financial aid, those kinds of things, very often put them on the same playing field. The difference between merit scholarships is that they're based on solely your application and what you have to contribute to campus. So have you done your research? Have you interviewed and visited? More than ever, it is becoming more competitive for colleges, so they want to see that you're making contact, and it's hard to determine where your interest is on their list. So it's very important to make that known that, okay, this is the school that I love. if it becomes a school that you are admitted to, you may get scholarships that meet your interests. Another word of advice for merit scholarships is to make sure you share as much information about yourself in your application. There could be some really goofy scholarships out there. For example, if you are a student who loves juggling, there may be an endowed scholarship that relates to students who love juggling. So share all of those quirky little details that you may be nervous about sharing, because, believe it or not, they give us, the people reading your application, something to look forward to when we're reading applications, to know all those cool little details about you, and to think about scholarships. Financial aid is separate in that it is based solely on your financial need. So, things that you need to consider: what does your school that you're applying to require? Do they require the FAFSA, the CSS profile? Most colleges require both. So they're long forms that you have to fill out. Start them early. I would start filling them out as early as October of your senior year. And then, finish them up depending on when the deadline is for that particular school. It's never too early to get in touch with the financial aid office of that school. But again, every college is completely different. They all have different requirements, so first and foremost, make sure you're going on that college's website to see what they require.
Many students are unsure about what they want to major in. Do you have any advice to give them?
Yes. So as you're doing your research, junior year, going into your senior year, as you're looking at a lot of schools, one of the great things about visiting the schools, the handful of schools that you do get to visit, is that you're able to sense what's really cool at this university, what talents do I have that can match up, and so you sort of do hone your interests in those areas, and you are able to get a sense of what path you want to go down as you're doing your college search. However, it is very important to keep your options open. If you know, for example, that you want to go into pre-med, or you want to go into engineering, it's good to consider schools that offer those options, but also think about other things that may interest you, because you may take that first engineering class and realize, this is not for me, I'm not interested in engineering anymore. So that's why it actually works out great for students who are undecided. Especially some schools, some colleges have an open curriculum where they're not requiring you right off the bat as you're applying to declare your major. So you actually decide as you're taking courses what you want to do. For a student who's undecided, they might find that some of those colleges work out best, and some of those colleges may be looking specifically for students who are undecided. So,
Many students look for a side job during colleges. Do most colleges provide this opportunity?
Yep. As we were talking about financial aid, one of the things that is considered as part of your financial aid package, if you apply for financial aid, again, that is something you need to apply for, not everybody does. If you apply for financial aid and you do get financial aid, you may qualify for what's called work study. A lot of colleges have specific jobs that you can work for, and it's not necessarily, working in the dining hall. You don't always have to do jobs that you may not be interested in. You could do some really cool jobs too that you may be interested in. Let's say you're an athlete. You may work in the athletic center or facilities in the athletic department. If you're interested in balancing your academic work as well as working and getting paid, you may work in the library and get some hours where you can do both at the same time. So schools really try to make sure that you get that opportunity to do that. Another thing is, even if you don't go through work study, a lot of college towns have a lot of options and are used to having a younger crowd, a college atmosphere. So they're used to having students come in and work at local shops and restaurants and areas like that. So when you're visiting schools, make sure you're looking around for those kinds of opportunities as well.
A lot of students worry if they will be accepted to the college of choice. Do you have any advice to give them so they can be the perfect candidate?
Yes. Again, a very important thing is to visit that school. I would always recommend visiting before you apply, because then you'll get a sense of whether this is a good fit for you or not. Plus, and this may sound a little creepy, but a lot of colleges, because it's getting more and more competitive for admission, we're actually keeping track of how much contact you're making. So if there are college fairs in the area where you can actually meet admissions representatives such as myself and talk to them and ask them questions specifically about their school, they're keeping track of that. So when you fill out those annoying, pesky little, prospect cards that you have to turn in, and then you get tons of mail in the long run, it actually does work out to your benefit because we are keeping track of that. If you log into the website, particularly at University of Rochester, we keep track of your contact. So that helps us know that you're getting research, you're familiar with the school, so that's pretty important to us. Doing an interview also helps. Again, it's not required for a lot of universities, so the interview helps us figure out a little bit more about you, also consider what kinds of scholarships match up with your interests that we might not have known about otherwise. So those kinds of things are pretty important to us. Some things that students worry about are SATs or the ACT. That's another test that a lot of students take. And how your transcript works. It depends on the school and what their atmosphere is like, but number one priority is your academics and how you can contribute to that environment at that college. So your SATs are not the be-all, end-all. It is one piece of the application. Sometimes they do qualify for particular scholarships. Sometimes they do relate to financial aid as well. So it is important. Make sure, if you do have the opportunity to take the SAT more than once, that is a good idea. A lot of students worry about if they do well on one test and not so well on the other, do we see all of them? Most colleges allow you to combine the higher scores. So if you've taken it more than once, it works to your benefit. For the most part, we want to see your best ability. So we're not looking for all of your weaknesses, we're looking for all of your strengths. So if taking tests is not your forte, believe it or not, there are a lot of admissions counselors that are like you. But there's a lot of other opportunities and things that they're looking for in your application, which is why you need to really get on the website and talk to admissions counselors and see what they expect.
Okay, thank you.